The crystalline spires of New Geneva stretched toward the purple sky, their surfaces reflecting the light of 3 setting suns. Within the United Earth Embassy, Captain Rena Hayes stood at the window of her office, watching the alien diplomats scurrying below like colorful insects. After 15 years of serving as Earth's military attaché to the Galactic Consortium, she had learned to read their body language. Today, their movements carried an edge of panic. "They're finally starting to realize," she murmured, touching the cold glass. The latest report from the Arcturus colonies sat on her desk, detailing yet another accidental incursion by the Mithrani Empire's mining fleets. 3,000 human colonists displaced, their homes and facilities stripped for resources while the consortium's peacekeeping forces conveniently looked the other way. The door chimed, admitting Ambassador Julian Rhodes, his usually immaculate silver hair disheveled. "They rejected our petition. Again." He collapsed into a chair, looking older than his 60 years. "The Consortium Council claims insufficient evidence of systematic discrimination against human interests." Rena didn't turn from the window. "Of course they did. The same way they ignored the trade embargoes, the technology restrictions, the territorial violations." Her reflection smiled grimly. "How's Project Oracle proceeding?" "On schedule. Director Walsh confirms the last pieces are in place." Julian's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "The question is, are we really ready to do this? To break away from the very institution we spent decades trying to join?" Now Rena turned, her dark eyes hard as obsidian. "They never truly let us join, Julian. We've been treated like children playing at being a spacefaring species. The Mithrani see us as resources to be exploited. The VecTH Collective considers us barely evolved primates. Even the supposedly enlightened Etherian Republic treats human achievements as quaint curiosities." She walked to her desk, activating a holographic display. Star systems bloomed in the air between them, highlighting the steady encroachment of alien powers into human space over the past decade. "We played by their rules. We filed protests through proper channels. We accepted their judgments and sanctions, no matter how biased. We smiled and bowed and showed infinite patience while they carved away at everything we built." Julian studied the display, his diplomatic mask cracking to show the anger beneath. "The Consortium believes our patience comes from weakness. That we endure because we must. A dangerous assumption." Rena's smile would have given a Mithrani warchief pause. "Humanity's patience isn't born of weakness, but of choice. We chose to try diplomacy first. We chose to give them every chance to treat us as equals." She waved a hand, dissolving the star map. "They chose to squander those chances." A soft chime interrupted them. Rena checked her comm link, then straightened. "It's happening. The Mithrani just seized the Proxima Beta mining station. They're claiming it was harboring pirates. That station holds 20,000 civilians." Julian surged to his feet. "Held," Rena corrected quietly. "The Mithrani used overwhelming force. Current casualty estimates are at 16,000. Silence filled the office, heavy as a neutron star. Finally, Julian spoke, his voice rough. "The Council is convening an emergency session to investigate these concerning allegations. Their preliminary statement suggests human security forces may have provoked the incident." Rena's laugh held no humor. "They expect us to wait patiently for another whitewashed investigation while our people's bodies are still cooling." She touched her comm link, entering a complex series of commands. "Initiating Protocol Oracle. Authorization Hayes 7 Delta 9. Rena." Julian's use of her first name showed his concern. "Once we do this, there's no going back. The Consortium will never trust humanity again." "Good." She finished the sequence, then met his eyes. "Their trust was worthless. Now they'll learn to respect us instead." Her comm link chimed with confirmation. Director Walsh reports all Oracle units are mobilizing. Within 24 hours, the galaxy will understand exactly why humans developed patience in the first place. She turned back to the window, watching the alien diplomats still scurrying below, blissfully unaware that their comfortable world was about to shatter. They thought our patience was infinite. They never stopped to ask what would happen when it finally ran out. The first explosions bloomed like new stars in the purple sky, and Captain Rena Hayes allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity's patience had expired. Now it was time to show the galaxy what they'd been preparing during all those years of calculated restraint. The game was about to change. And this time, humanity would write the rules. Director Thaddeus Walsh stood in the heart of Olympus Command, buried deep beneath the Martian surface. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing the first phase of Operation Oracle unfolding across hundreds of star systems. The massive chamber hummed with controlled activity as personnel coordinated humanity's response to decades of subjugation. Status report on Ghost Fleet deployment, he commanded, his weathered face illuminated by the shifting lights of tactical displays. Colonel Zara Singh, his head of operations, stepped forward. All stealth carriers successfully positioned, sir. The quantum shroud technology is performing beyond expectations. Neither Mithrani sensors nor VecTH psychic probes have detected our presence. Walsh nodded, allowing himself a small smile. While the consortium races had mocked humanity's primitive technology, underground research facilities had been perfecting innovations they couldn't imagine. The quantum shroud was just one of many surprises waiting to be unveiled. The Aetherian Republic is mobilizing their defense fleet, Zara continued. They're claiming diplomatic immunity under consortium law. Interesting how quickly they remember laws when they're the ones at risk. Walsh expanded a tactical display showing the Aetherian capital system. Initiate Operation Blackout. Across 3 sectors of space, carefully hidden human vessels activated their specialized equipment. The Aetherians, who prided themselves on their mastery of quantum communications, suddenly found their entire network going dark. Their ships, dependent on quantum-linked AI cores, began dropping out of formation like stones. They're transmitting surrender conditions, Zara reported, not bothering to hide her satisfaction. The Aetherian High Council is requesting immediate negotiations. Walsh shook his head. No negotiations. Implement the prepared terms. They can accept them or face complete technological collapse. He turned to another display. Status of the Mithrani response. Their primary battle fleets are moving to defend their core worlds, exactly as predicted. They've abandoned 70% of their illegally occupied human territories. Zara highlighted the movements. Their commander, War Chief Kthor, is demanding we face them in honorable combat. Send them our response package. Walsh watched as automated systems delivered humanity's message. On hundreds of Mithrani ships, computer systems began displaying detailed schematics of their own critical weaknesses, along with proof that human hackers had already compromised their supposedly impregnable defenses. The VecTH Collective is attempting to launch a psychic assault on our command centers, another officer reported. Walsh actually chuckled. Activate the Chimera arrays. Throughout human space, hidden satellites came online. The VecTH's psychic attack rebounded, amplified tenfold. Across their worlds, the crystalline beings that made up their collective consciousness began shattering under the strain of their own reflected power. Sir, Zara's voice carried an edge of concern, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the consortium capital. They appear to be activating the Stellar Archive. The Stellar Archive, the consortium's secret superweapon, capable of triggering targeted solar flares to sterilize entire systems. They'd used it once, centuries ago, to end a rebellion. The weapon's very existence violated dozens of their own laws. Perfect. Walsh pressed a sequence of commands. Transmitting evidence of the archive's activation to every member race of the consortium. simultaneously releasing proof of how the current council used it to blackmail dissenting voices. He turned to face his staff. The consortium didn't just underestimate our military capabilities. They forgot that information is the deadliest weapon of all. Across the galaxy, the carefully maintained facade of consortium unity began cracking. Minor races, long suppressed, seized the opportunity to assert their independence. The major powers, caught between human forces and internal uprisings, found their positions crumbling. "Sir," Zara called out, "we're receiving surrender offers from 17 systems. The Mithrani War Council is split, with 3 factions requesting separate peace negotiations. The VecTH Collective has gone silent, possibly permanent neural damage from the Chimera effect. The Aetherian Republic." She paused, double-checking her data, "appears to be experiencing a civil war." Walsh studied the tactical displays, watching years of careful planning bear fruit. Humanity had spent their years of patience learning every weakness, every secret, every pressure point of their oppressors. Now they were applying that knowledge with surgical precision. "Director," a communications officer interrupted, "priority message from Captain Hayes at New Geneva. The Consortium Council is requesting an emergency session. They're offering immediate recognition of all human territorial claims and full voting rights on the Council." "Tell them," Walsh replied, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's accumulated grievances, "that their offer is approximately 15 years too late. Humanity is no longer interested in joining their corrupt institution." He turned to address his entire command staff. "The galaxy needs to understand something. We weren't being patient because we were weak. We were being patient because we needed time to ensure that when we finally moved, there would be no half measures, no prolonged conflicts, no chance of failure." He gestured at the displays showing chaos spreading across the stars. "Humanity tried playing by their rules. They forced us to write our own. Now they can learn to live with the consequences." The next 12 hours would reshape the galaxy's power structure forever. And in the end, every race would understand that humanity's patience hadn't been a sign of weakness, it had been the quiet before the storm. Commander Priya Patel watched from the bridge of the UES Shadowstrike as her stealth fleet emerged from quantum space, completely undetected by the massive Mithrani defense platforms guarding their homeworld. The innovative ships, products of secret human engineering, represented everything the consortium had dismissed as impossible. "All ships reporting ready, Commander," her XO, Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, reported. "Quantum shroud systems maintaining full effectiveness. The Mithrani have no idea we're here." Priya studied the tactical display, watching the overconfident Mithrani fleet arranged in their traditional combat formation. Their entire military doctrine was based on overwhelming force and honor-bound direct confrontation. The concept of an enemy they couldn't detect simply didn't exist in their strategic thinking. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. "Deploy the neural disruptors." Hundreds of tiny drones silently detached from the Ghost Fleet vessels, spreading through the Mithrani formation like invisible spiders weaving a web. These devices, combining human neural science with reverse-engineered VecTH technology, were about to demonstrate why underestimating humanity's technological capabilities had been a severe mistake. "Neural web established," Marcus confirmed. "Ready on your command." Priya allowed herself a small smile. "Execute." The effect was instantaneous and devastating. Across the Mithrani fleet, their biosynthetic command systems, proud symbols of their technological superiority, began experiencing cascading failures. Ships spun out of formation as their neural networks received contradictory commands, weapon systems powered down, and communication channels dissolved into chaos. "Multiple distress calls detected," the communications officer reported. They're requesting assistance from the Consortium Council." "How ironic," Priya mused. "Just like the distress calls from our colonies that they ignored." She straightened in her command chair. "Phase 2. Target their orbital defense platforms." The Ghost Fleet moved with precision that would have made any military strategist weep with envy. Specialized EMP weapons, designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in Mithrani shielding technology, disabled the platforms one by one. No explosions, no debris, no dramatic space battles, just the quiet neutralization of the most powerful defense system in the sector. "Commander," Marcus called out, "we're detecting multiple launches from the surface. They're deploying their reserve fleet. Right on schedule." Priya nodded to her weapons officer. "Activate the gravity wells." Hidden devices planted months ago by infiltration units came online, creating localized distortions in spacetime. The Mithrani reserve ships, attempting to reach orbit, found themselves trapped in artificial gravity fields that turned their launch trajectories into prison cells. "The Mithrani war chief is broadcasting on all frequencies," communications reported. "He's demanding we show ourselves and fight with honor." "Send them the prepared message," Priya ordered. "Let them understand exactly why this is happening." On every Mithrani command screen, a simple message appeared: "Your honor meant nothing when you murdered our colonists. Your pride meant nothing when you stole our territories. Your strength means nothing now." "Surface installations are requesting terms of surrender," Marcus reported, a note of satisfaction in his voice. "The Mithrani Defense Council is willing to accept all conditions." Priya studied the tactical display, watching as one of the galaxy's most powerful military forces effectively surrendered without a single direct shot being fired. "Transmit the terms. And make sure they understand, this isn't just about them. We're dismantling the entire system that allowed their abuse of power." She turned to her crew, seeing the pride in their eyes. The consortium races thought they could contain humanity through laws and regulations while they violated those same rules. They never realized we were using that time to study them, to understand every weakness, every vulnerability, every flaw in their defenses. "Commander," Tactical interrupted, "we're detecting multiple quantum signatures. Etherian warships attempting to respond to the Mithrani distress call." "Perfect." Priya's smile held no warmth. "Deploy the quantum mirrors." As the Etherian ships emerged from quantum space, they found their own advanced technology turned against them. Their quantum fields reflected and amplified, trapping them in a cascade of temporal feedback loops. The proud Etherian fleet, masters of quantum technology, reduced to floating helplessly in space by humans they dismissed as primitives. "Signal from Director Walsh," communications announced. "The VecTH collective has gone dark. Their entire neural network is collapsing. The Consortium Council is in chaos. Multiple member races are declaring independence." Priya nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. Humanity spent years enduring their contempt, their discrimination, their casual cruelty. They mistook our strategic patience for weakness. Now they're learning that humans don't just get even, we learn, we adapt, and we make absolutely certain that history won't repeat itself. The Ghost Fleet maintained its invisible vigil over the Mithrani homeworld, a silent testament to humanity's true capabilities. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out as carefully planned operations dismantled the power structures that had oppressed humanity for so long. The age of the Consortium was ending, not with an epic battle, but with the quiet precision of a species that had learned to turn its patience into a weapon. In the command center aboard the UES Retribution, Fleet Admiral Vector Kingston surveyed the holographic display of the Consortium's last desperate offensive. The combined fleets of three major powers, what remained of them, converging on humanity's core systems in one final attempt to restore their dominance. "Poor bastards still don't understand what they're dealing with," he muttered, his artificial eye scanning tactical data streams. "Status of the defense grid?" His tactical officer, Lieutenant Rain Winters, responded crisply. "Quantum-linked defense platforms are online and tracking. The Helios array is charged and ready. All civilian populations have been moved to hardened shelters. The massive enemy fleet dropped out of FTL in perfect attack formation, and directly into humanity's prepared killing ground. Vector allowed himself a grim smile. Now they learn why you don't corner a species that spent its entire history preparing for wars it hoped to avoid. Sir, they're broadcasting their demands, communications reported. The Consortium Council is offering to recognize Earth as a full equal if we stand down and accept their authority. A bit late for that. Vector straightened his uniform. Execute Operation Sunburst. Across the system, carefully hidden installations activated. The Helios Array, humanity's masterpiece of solar engineering, began its work. Targeted streams of plasma, controlled with perfect precision, lashed out at the enemy fleet. Ships that had survived humanity's earlier attacks found their shields useless against weaponized solar material. Multiple capital ships disabled, Rain reported. Their formation is breaking, wait, detecting quantum signatures. Etherian reinforcements incoming. Right where we want them. Vector nodded to his XO. Activate the quantum snares. As the Etherian ships emerged from quantum space, they found themselves trapped in fields of distorted spacetime. Their advanced quantum drives, once their pride, became their prison. The mysterious failures that had plagued their previous engagements suddenly made terrible sense. Humans had learned to control and manipulate quantum fields with greater precision than the Etherians themselves. Sir, Rain's voice carried an edge of excitement, the VecTH are attempting a last-ditch psychic assault. Let them. Vector watched as the crystalline beings tried to coordinate their infamous mental attack. Activate the Psi-amplifiers. The VecTH consciousness, already damaged from previous encounters, shattered completely as their own psychic energy was reflected and amplified beyond their control. Across their fleet, crystal ships began to crack and fragment as their pilots lost cohesion. Enemy fleet is in full retreat, Rain announced. Shall we pursue? No need. Vector studied the tactical display. The message has been delivered. Now we move to the final phase. He opened a channel to all human forces. This is Fleet Admiral Kingston. Operation Starfall is now in effect. All units proceed to your designated targets. Across the galaxy, human fleets emerged from hiding. Not the stealth ships that had conducted the initial strikes, but the full might of humanity's military machine. Ships that combined stolen Mithrani technology with Etherian quantum science and human innovation. Weapons that turned the laws of physics themselves into instruments of war. Sir, communications interrupted, priority message from Director Walsh. The Consortium Council, they're requesting unconditional surrender. Vector nodded slowly. About time they learned their place. Signal all forces, accept their surrender, but maintain combat readiness. The galaxy is about to undergo some significant changes. He turned to his crew, seeing the pride and determination in their faces. For 15 years, they treated us like children playing with technology we didn't understand. They never realized we were learning from every interaction, adapting their technologies, finding ways to improve them that their rigid thinking couldn't conceive. The holographic display showed human forces securing key systems across the galaxy. The consortium's carefully maintained power structure was collapsing, not through brute force, but through the precise application of superior strategy and technology. Incoming transmission from Earth Command, communications announced. Operation Oracle is entering its final phase. We're to prepare for the establishment of the new galactic order. Vector smiled, remembering the years of careful preparation, the silent building of forces, the patient gathering of intelligence. Send acknowledgement. And make sure our guests understand something. He faced the camera transmitting to the surrendered consortium ships. Humanity's patience wasn't a weakness. It was the most expensive lesson the galaxy will ever learn. The stars burned bright against the void, witnessing the end of one era and the birth of another. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity decided to stop playing by other people's rules. 1 year after Operation Oracle, the gleaming spires of New Terra City rose from Earth's surface, a symbol of humanity's emergence as the galaxy's preeminent power. In the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from across the cosmos gathered not as conquerors and subjugated, but as equals under humanity's new paradigm. First speaker Rena Hayes, elevated from her former military role, stood at the central podium. The chamber, designed with conscious rejection of the old consortium's hierarchical arrangement, placed all representatives on the same level. No species elevated above others, no artificial distinctions of status or power. The first year of the Terran Accord has shown us what's possible when we abandon outdated notions of racial superiority, she addressed the assembly. Our technological sharing initiative has lifted 12 formerly restricted species to full spacefaring status. The free exchange of ideas has produced innovations that benefit all. Below her, former rivals sat together. The remnants of the Mithrani Empire, their military pride replaced with pragmatic cooperation. The reformed Etherian Republic, now sharing their quantum expertise freely. Even the surviving Vecti-H, their consciousness reconstructed with human assistance, contributed their unique perspectives. Director Walsh, now serving as security administrator, approached the podium. The last holdouts of the old consortium surrendered this morning, he announced. The transition is complete. Rena nodded, surveying the chamber. Let the record show that humanity's response to years of oppression wasn't vengeance, but reformation. We didn't destroy our former adversaries, we showed them a better way. The assembly stirred as Admiral Kingston's hologram appeared. The joint patrol fleets are operational, he reported. Former consortium powers working alongside their previous victims, protecting trade routes they once exploited. The galaxy's first truly cooperative defense force. An interesting transformation, Commander Patel observed from her seat in the military liaison section. They thought breaking our patience would release chaos. Instead, it birthed a new order, one built on genuine cooperation rather than dominance. The changes were visible everywhere. Human innovations, combined with alien technologies, had transformed galactic society. The quantum shroud, once a military secret, now protected civilian ships from pirates. Neural interface technology, refined through collaboration between human and Vecti-H scientists, enabled unprecedented communication between species. We gather here not to celebrate victory, Rena continued, but to commemorate transformation. Humanity's patience ended not with destruction, but with creation. We didn't just change who held power, we changed how power itself functions in our galaxy. She activated a holographic display showing the hundreds of joint projects underway, new colonies founded by multiple species working together, research stations combining diverse technological approaches, trade routes protected by ships of former enemies. The old consortium feared what would happen when humanity's patience ran out, she concluded. They expected violence, revenge, chaos. Instead, we gave them something they never imagined, a future where strength comes from cooperation, not domination. The assembly rose in approval. Among them stood the next generation of leaders, young Mithrani who'd embraced cultural exchange over combat, Etherian scientists eager to explore new possibilities, emerging species finally free to reach their potential. From his position near the chamber's edge, Julian Rhodes, now serving as Minister of Interspecies Relations, smiled at the sight. They never understood, he murmured to himself. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't our technology, our strategies, or even our patience. It was our ability to imagine a better way. The stars shone through the chamber's transparent dome, witnessing a galaxy transformed. Humanity had indeed lost its patience with the old order, but in doing so, they'd birthed something unprecedented, a civilization where diversity bred innovation, cooperation replaced competition, and the mistakes of the past served as lessons for a better future. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's wrath, only to discover that their true power lay not in destruction, but in their capacity for creation. The patience of humanity had run out, but what replaced it was something far more valuable, hope. As the assembly concluded, ships from 100 worlds lifted into the evening sky, their crews no longer divided by artificial hierarchies. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and the cost of that education had been the old order itself. In its place stood something new, a testament to humanity's most remarkable trait, the ability to turn endings into beginnings. The story of humanity's lost patience had become legend, but the story of what they built in its wake would echo through the stars forever. End of story.